Lin Xiao Xiao. Why the hell don't you just die? When a bucket of ice water was poured over my head, my mind was still replaying the last math class my high school teacher had taught. He said, "You're about to take the college entrance exam once you get to college. It'll be much easier." I believed him back then. I lowered my head and secretly folded a paper star under my desk, tucking it into the glass bottle that was already half full. That star is the 520th one. I counted. I thought that after the college entrance exam, when Lucy and I walked through the gates of the same university together, I would give him this jar of stars and tell him that I had been folding them for a full 6 years since the first year of junior high with a sentence written inside each star. It was only later that I realized how unbearably cheesy those words were. Things like, "Today you explained another math problem to me. You're amazing. What you play so beautifully. What we should always be together. That water is so cold it made my whole body tremble from the bone-deep chill. My hair sticking to my face in strands, water droplets dripping from my chin into my collar, turning the white shirt of my school uniform translucent. I instinctively raised my arm to block it, and my elbow slammed into the metal cabinet beside me with a dull thud. The pain made me gasp sharply. All around me, laughter erupted. I knew that kind of laughter all too well. Throughout the 3 years of high school, we were in the same class. Every time someone was called on by the teacher and couldn't answer, this exact kind of laughter would break out from below. It wasn't out of goodwill, but it wasn't malicious either. Just a bunch of 17 or 18-year-old kids who saw something exciting and instinctively joined in the commotion. Only this time, I was the one surrounded by the crowd, being watched as entertainment. I slowly raised my head. The person standing in front of her was Lucy. He was more than a head taller than me, wearing a black hooded sweatshirt with the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, revealing a section of blue veins on his forearms. His hands still held the posture of splashing water with long, graceful fingers and clearly defined knuckles. I remembered that in winter I used to love slipping my hands into the pockets of his school uniform, and he would clasp my hands tightly like that, his palm's warmth making my ears turn red. His hands were truly beautiful. I stared at that hand for 2 seconds, and an absurd thought suddenly popped into my mind. Those hands had just handed me a cup of soy milk this morning, red bean flavored. I hate anything with red bean flavor. He likes it, so he always buys 2 cups of the same kind. I've complained to him for 3 years, but he never changed. This morning, when he shoved the soy milk into my hand, water droplets were still hanging on the plastic bag. I said, "Lucy, you bought red bean again." He said, "Drink it if you like," with the same tone as usual, exactly the same as usual. So, when exactly did things start to change? Xiao Xiao, don't blame me. Lucy casually tossed the wash basin onto the floor. The metal basin spun twice before coming to a stop, emitting a harsh grating sound. He brushed off non-existent dust from his hands, then looked down at me, who was crouched on the floor. There was something in his eyes that I couldn't quite understand. It wasn't guilt, nor was it heartache. It felt more like a sense of relief after completing some task. Sitting on the edge of the bed behind him was a girl. Her name was Xin-Ting. She transferred here in her 2nd year of high school, ranked first in the liberal arts grade, could play the gujang, write calligraphy with a brush, always spoke softly, and, when she smiled, her eyes curved like crescent moons. Our homeroom teacher had praised her several times during class meetings, saying that Shantang Wuan had the aura of a classical talented woman. She is truly beautiful, the kind of beauty that neither men nor women can find fault with. Her skin is so fair it seems to glow, and her long hair is dark and straight, cascading down like a waterfall when let loose. Right now, she's sitting on the edge of Lucy's bed, swinging her legs back and forth, wearing a pair of white canvas shoes with the laces tied into bows. She's holding one of Lucy's pillows in her arms, resting her chin on it, and watching me quietly. Her expression is calm, even carrying a polite smile, as if the person crouching on the floor isn't a living being who's just been splashed with water, but a painting she's meant to appreciate. I've already said it. Lucy's voice came from above my head, deliberately amplified as if meant for everyone to hear. Only Xin-Ting, and I share a soulful connection. Do you understand? You've been clinging to me since we were kids, and I'm utterly sick of you. Don't you have any self-awareness?" Another wave of laughter erupted from the crowd. I crouched on the ground, water dripping from my hair onto the tiled floor of the dorm, spreading into a small dark stain. I propped my hands on my knees and slowly stood up, my knees feeling a bit weak, whether from the cold or something else. I didn't know. After standing, I realized there were at least 7 or 8 people around me holding up their phones. All lenses pointed at me like a row of dark, menacing gun barrels. The dorm door was wide open, and the hallway was crowded with people, some standing on tiptoe to peek inside, others holding up their phones as if live streaming. "Guys, look, Lucy has turned against his childhood sweetheart, watching the haircut live." Haircut. I instinctively touched my own hair. My hair is very long, grown from childhood to now, reaching down to my waist. My mom said that, when I was little, I was extremely protective of my hair, crying for a long time, even when just getting bangs trimmed. Lucy. I used to like my hair, too. Every time I went to his house to do homework with my hair wet and draped over my shoulders, he'd always reach out to touch it, saying, "Lin Xiao Xiao, your hair smells so good," while doing so. Then I'd blush and slap his hand, telling him not to touch it. What if Auntie saw? How old were we when he said that? It was probably that summer of our second year of junior high. Later, when we started high school, I found long hair inconvenient to wash, and I wanted to cut it several times. But Lucy always stopped me. He'd say, "Why cut it? Long hair looks so nice. If you cut it, I won't walk to and from school with you anymore." I knew he was joking, but I still didn't cut it, because he said it looked good. But now he's holding a pair of scissors, a very ordinary stationary scissors with a little rust on the blade, probably pulled out from some drawer. He twirled the scissors in his hand twice casually, as if spinning a pen. "Will you do it yourself, or shall I do it?" he asked me. I looked into his eyes. I've been looking at those eyes for 17 years, ever since I can remember. When he was 2 years old, he fell while chasing a butterfly in the yard, scraping his knee, and crying so hard that snot bubbles came out. It was me who dragged him home, and had my mom put a Band-Aid on it. When he was 7, he lost a front tooth, and spoke with a lisp. I laughed at him for the entire summer. He was 12, when he first rode a bicycle, taking me down a slope, and we both crashed into the drainage ditch by the roadside covered in mud. The first thing he did, when he got up, was ask me if I was hurt. One evening, when he was 15, our 2 families were having a barbecue in the yard. The adults had drunk too much, and were playing cards inside while we sat on the swing, watching the stars. Suddenly, he leaned in, his lips brushing against my ear, his breath warm, his voice low, saying something that kept me awake all night. He said, "Lin Xiao Xiao, I think I might like you." That was the first time he said he liked me. Later, he said it many times, on the sofa in his living room, on the school rooftop, on the path lined with plane trees at the school gate, and on little notes secretly slipped to me during class. I remember every time clearly, every word etched in my mind. But now he looks at me with the same eyes, and says, "Are you going to do it yourself? Or should I?" People around were cheering, their voices rising higher and higher. "Cut it, Brother Lou. You're awesome. Let her learn a lesson." I opened my mouth, but found I couldn't speak. My throat felt like something was blocking it, sour, swollen, and painful, making even swallowing difficult. I didn't cry. My eyes were dry, so dry they felt gritty like 2 sun-baked stones, firmly lodged in my eye sockets, aching with every movement. Lucy I waited 3 seconds, and seeing that I didn't react at all, suddenly smiled. That smile felt utterly unfamiliar to me. The curve of his lips was completely different from what I remembered, and his eyes held no light, dark, and dull like the sky at 5 o'clock in the winter afternoon. He took a step forward and grabbed my hair. His strength was immense, pulling me forward so violently that I stumbled. A sharp pain shot through my scalp, as if countless needles had pierced it at once, making my eyes water. But I bit my lip and forced myself to endure it. I remember how clumsy he used to be when he tied my hair, his hands fumbling, unable to wrap the hair tie properly, even after 3 attempts. And he even pulled out several of my hairs. When I cried out in pain, he immediately let go. Nervously, leaning in to check, saying, "I am Soda. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to." But this time, he didn't let go. The sound of scissors snipping came from behind my head. Snip, then another, like something shattering. I saw strands of my hair falling to the ground one by one long, and short landing in the water, stains sticking to the tiles like a group of dead little black snakes. The whole process lasted only about a minute, but in my perception, that minute stretched out endlessly, so long that I could clearly hear everyone's laughter around me, so long that I could see the meaningful curve of Shantae Wan's lips, so long that I could count the strands of hair on the ground. Though I couldn't actually count them, my mind at that moment desperately wanted to grasp something concrete and real just to make myself feel like I was still standing on solid ground. Lucy finished cutting, took a step back, glanced at me from head to toe, and casually tossed the scissors onto the table. He picked up his phone, took a photo of me, then lowered his head and began operating the screen. "All right," he said without looking up. "You can go now." I didn't leave. I stood where I was, raising my hand to touch the back of my head. My hair had been cut in a messy way, some parts long, some short, with a few strands sticking up and out, like a feather duster that had been caught in the rain. Where my palm touched felt damp, though I couldn't tell if it was water or something else. Slowly, I lowered my hand, glanced at the hair on the floor, then looked over at Lucy. His phone screen was lit up, and I vaguely saw the interface of a short video platform. He was editing a caption, his thumb typing rapidly across the screen. Shantae Wan jumped down from the bed, moved close to him, tilted her head to look at his screen, and said something softly. Then the two of them laughed together. That laugh was so light, as if afraid someone might hear it, but it clearly pierced into my ears. I bent down and picked up the school bag on the ground. The bag was wet with a large, damp area at the bottom. I shook it off and slung it over my shoulder. As I turned, the sole of my shoe stepped on my own hair, producing a faint, almost inaudible rustling sound. I pushed through the crowd. Some people made way for me, others whistled behind me, and someone shouted, "Lin Xiao Xiao, you've got it coming today." I didn't look back, not even for a step. When I stepped out of the dormitory building, the bright sunlight outside made me squint. It was an unusually clear and sunny day, the sky, an impossibly blue with a few lazy white clouds hanging in the air. The roses on campus were in full bloom, a vast expanse of red and pink, and the air was filled with the scent of flowers. I stood on the steps at the entrance of the dormitory building, momentarily dazed by the sun. How could the world still be like this? The flowers were still blooming, the birds still singing, the sunlight still warm and comforting, as if nothing had happened just moments ago. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out and glanced at a tour class group chat. Someone had sent a message tagging everyone. "Look at Lucy's post. I'm dying of laughter. Lin Xiao Xiao got his head shaved. Haha." Below it, there were over a dozen replies, all filled with haha and wow, along with a few memes. I scrolled up and saw the short video Lucy had posted. The cover image showed me crouching on the ground, my hair wet and sticking to my scalp with a large bald patch on the back of my head like a beggar. A striking line of yellow text was added to the cover. The revenge of the childhood friend with no sense of boundaries. The video's view count had already surpassed 5,000 in just 10 minutes. I turned off my phone screen and slipped it back into my pocket. I didn't cry. I just stood there in the sunlight, tugged my backpack straps a little higher, and started walking toward the school gate. Along the way, I ran into a few people I knew. Their gazes toward me varied. Some avoided eye contact. Some were curious. Some boldly looked me up and down, and one little girl even covered her mouth and laughed out loud. As I passed by her, I overheard her companion whisper in a hushed voice, "Is that Lin Xiao Xiao? What happened to her hair?" I kept walking. When I reached the road lined with plane trees at the school gate, my footsteps suddenly paused for a moment. On the trunk of the third plane tree, 2 names were carved. One was mine, the other was his, connected by a crooked heart in the middle. It was a Friday afternoon in the second semester of our first year of high school. After school, instead of playing basketball, he pulled me here, took a small knife from his pocket, and carved into the bark stroke by stroke. I asked him why he was carving this, saying it was damaging the tree. He said it was called a witness, and that it would be so romantic to come back and see it when we were old and gray. Those 2 lines of carving are still there. The bark has grown over them a bit, making the words somewhat blurry, but if you look closely, you can still make them out. I stared at those 2 lines for about 3 seconds, then looked away. Nothing worth looking at. When I got home, my mom was stir-frying in the kitchen. The range hood roared, and the sound of the spatula clanging against the wok rang out. Hearing the door open, she poked her head out from the kitchen, wearing that faded floral apron, spatula still in hand, and called out to me, "Zia Xiao's back. Why are you home so early today?" Then she saw my hair. The spatula fell from her hand to the floor, the sound of metal hitting tiles sharp and loud, bouncing twice before finally settling. My mother's face changed in an instant from confusion to shock, from shock to anger, the kind of anger that reminded me of when I was a child and got bullied, and she stormed to the other person's house to demand an explanation. "Who did this?" Her voice trembled. I placed my school bag next to the shoe cabinet, changed into slippers, and walked into the living room to sit on the sofa. The sofa was made of fabric, beige in color, with a knitted blanket my mom had crocheted herself spread over it. I sat down, curled my legs up, and rested my chin on my knees. "Lin Xiao Xiao." My mom came in, her voice rising by 8 octaves. "I'm asking you, who did this?" "Lucy," I said. My mother was stunned. She opened her mouth, closed it, then opened it again like a fish thrown ashore. How close was she to my mom? Let me put it this way. Lucy's mom and she were best friends. They had been classmates since elementary school. And later, they both married into the same building in the same neighborhood, living right across from each other. They visited each other more often than they did their own relatives, for as long as I can remember. Luke's mom has called my mom-in-law, although it was said in jest. Everyone took it as a given. The 2 families celebrated the new year together, traveled together, and saved money, saying they would buy a big house together when both children got married. So, when my mother heard the name Lucy, her face looked as if she had been struck by lightning. "Why would he?" "Mom," I interrupted her, my voice calmed, so calm that even I was surprised at myself. "I want to take a shower." My mother stood still for a long time, staring at me with her lips pressed into a thin line, and her eyes red. She didn't say anything more, then turned and walked into the bathroom. I heard the sound of the faucet turning on, the water heater igniting, and the shower spraying water. After a while, she came out, her eyes even redder than before, but her voice was much calmer. "The water's ready. Go ahead and wash up." I walked into the bathroom, closed the door, and stood in front of the mirror. I almost didn't recognize the person in the mirror. The school uniform was crumpled. The collar was asked, revealing a faint red mark on the collarbone. I had no idea when it had been scratched. My hair looked like it had been chewed by a dog. Some strands reached my shoulders, while others clung to my scalp. The back of my head was almost bare, exposing a bluish-white patch of skin with jagged edges like broken biscuits. There were still wet marks on my face. My eyelashes stuck together in clumps. My lips were dry, peeling with a row of deep tooth marks since I had just bitten myself. I stared at my reflection in the mirror for a long time. Then I did something. I pulled open the drawer under the sink and took out my dad's clipper. That's the clipper my dad uses to cut his own hair at home. It's been used for many years, and the paint on the clipper has worn off, revealing the silvery, white metal underneath. I plugged it in, turned on the switch, and the clipper buzzed and vibrated in my hand. Like an angry wasp, I took a deep breath and pressed the clipper against my scalp. When the first strand of hair fell, my hand trembled a little, but by the third stroke, my hand was steady. I carefully and meticulously shaved off all the uneven hair on my head, leaving not a single strand or an inch behind. Hair clippings fell into the sink, onto the floor, and onto my shoulders, prickling and itching like countless tiny insects crawling. After shaving it all off, I put down the clippers and looked back into the mirror. The person in the mirror looked back at me, bald with pale blue veins visible on the bluish-white scalp, and a faint scar on the top of the head left from a childhood fall off a slide. The ears seemed larger than before, And so were the eyes with deep eye sockets, as if he had lost 10 pounds overnight. I raised my hand and touched the top of my head. The skin under my palm felt smooth and warm, carrying the lingering heat from the clippers. With a texture like an egg just scooped out of a pot, the stubble of hair pricked my palm, tickling. The bald person in the mirror suddenly smiled. Then she said something to herself in the mirror. Her voice, so soft that it was drowned out by the sound of the shower. So soft that it seemed to be spoken only to herself. Lin Xiao Xiao, you deserve it. After saying this, I took off my clothes and stepped under the shower. Hot water poured down from above, startling me with its heat. Where the water flowed, the skin on my scalp, freshly shaved by the clippers, had a strange sensation, as if every inch of it was relearning how to perceive the world. I stood under the shower for a long time, so long that the hot water in the heater ran out, and the water gradually turned cold. Only then did I turn off the faucet and dry my body and head with a towel. When the towel brushed over the top of my head, the sensation was completely different from before. It used to take so long to dry my hair damp and tangled. I'd have to wrap it in a towel and wring it out several times. Now, just a few quick wipes, and it's dry, crisp, and clean, like wiping a basketball. I stood wrapped in a towel in the gradually dissipating steam, and reached out to wipe the mirror, clearing away the fog to see myself again. But I tilted my head to the left, then tilted it to the right. Actually, it's not that bad looking. My head shape is pretty good round without any particularly flat or protruding areas. My mom used to always say I have a nice-looking head, and that I'd look good even with a shaved head. I thought she was just saying that to make me feel better. But now it seemed she was telling the truth. I opened the bathroom door and walked out. My mom was sitting on the living room sofa with a glass of water in front of her, untouched. Hearing the sound of the door opening, she looked up and saw my shaved head, freezing in place as if struck by a spell. Her mouth slowly fell open, her eyes widened bit by bit, and the remote control in her hand clattered to the floor. You. Her voice seemed to squeeze out from the back of her throat. Does it look good? I rubbed my shaved head and smiled at her. My mother's tears started falling immediately. She wasn't the type to sob loudly. She just sat there, tears dropping one by one onto her floral apron, spreading into dark, blooming patterns. She wiped her face with her hand again and again, but couldn't wipe them clean. Finally, she stopped crying, letting the tears stream down her face. Mom! I walked over, crouched in front of her, and looked up at her. Don't cry. I'm not even crying. Those words felt like poking a hornet's nest. My mom suddenly pulled me into her arms, hugging me so tightly that my bare head was pressed against her chest. I smelled the scent of cooking oil and laundry detergent along with that familiar comforting smell that only a mother has. Her chin rested on the top of my head, and a stifled sound like the cry of a wounded animal escaped her throat. I am sorry, Mom, she sobbed. I used to think that kid was good, and I thought it was a blessing for you to be with him. I was blind. Mom, I'm sorry. I was held so tightly by her that I couldn't breathe, but I didn't struggle free. I reached out and wrapped my arms around her waist, burying my face in her chest, feeling her body tremble with sobs. It's okay, Mom, I said, my voice muffled. It's really okay. That night, my dad came home from work, saw my bald head, said nothing, silently finished his meal, silently washed the dishes, and silently smoked 3 cigarettes on the balcony. Then he walked into my room and placed a bank card on my desk. The money Dad saved for you, he said, his voice a bit. I was saving this for your dowry, but now you take it and spend it however you want. I looked at that green bank card, its surface worn, almost white, clearly an old card that had been used for many years. I know he puts a little bit of his salary into it every month after he gets paid. Sometimes more, sometimes less. He's been saving for over 10 years and never missed a month. Dad, I said, I want to use it to buy a new computer. Buy it, he said. I also want to buy a camera. Buy it. I want to keep the rest of the money and spend it slowly once I get to university. He glanced at me, his expression complex, as if he had a lot to say, but couldn't find the words. In the end, he just reached out and patted my smooth bald head. His palm was rough, covered in calluses. Hair can grow back, he said, as long as my daughter is okay. That's all that matters. My nose tingled with emotion, but I held it back. Lying in bed, preparing to sleep, I picked up my phone and took a look. The class group chat was already in chaos with hundreds of messages flooding in. I didn't bother scrolling through them all, and just pulled it to the top. The latest message was sent by Lucy. He posted a photo of me with a bald head, not the one after I shaved it all off, but the previous one with the messy patchy haircut accompanied by a caption. To my childhood sweetheart, Lin Xiao Xiao. Thank you for 18 years of companionship. From now on, we go our separate ways, each living our own lives in peace. Someone replied below, Bro, you're awesome. Someone else replied, Now that's a real Mandarin to love and hate. Someone replied, What kind of pathetic S is Lin Xiao Xiao? She got her head shaved and still didn't make a sound. There was also a message, drowned in the full screen frenzy, flashing by in an instant. The person who sent the message was the Chinese class representative in our class, a girl who usually didn't talk much named Suan. She only typed 4 words. You've gone too far. No one replied to her. The message was quickly pushed to the bottom by new hahas and emojis, disappearing into the flood of information. I stared at those 4 characters for a while, then placed my phone beside the pillow, turned over, and closed my eyes. Sleep came slowly, lying in the darkness. My mind was a mess. Now I heard the click of scissors. Now I saw Shantang Wan's canvas shoes swaying back and forth. Now I recalled Luke's expressionless face as he took photos. These images boiled like a pot of water, bubbling and churning, making my heart restless. But I didn't cry. Tears were right behind my eyes, like a group of children trapped at the door, desperately trying to push their way out. But I tightly shut the door, refusing to let them out. I knew that if I let the tears fall, everything would be confirmed. Confirmed that I was a pitiful loser abandoned by my childhood friend. Confirmed that I had been utterly broken by this relationship. Confirmed that I was the laughingstock everyone talked about. I can't cry, at least not tonight. Just as I was drifting off to sleep, my phone vibrated again. I was too tired to open my eyes. So, I fumbled for the phone and squinted at the screen. It was a text message from an unfamiliar number with just one sentence. Lin Xiao Xiao, where's your hair? I didn't reply. I flipped the phone over and placed it face down on the bed, then pulled the blanket over my head. The blanket was freshly changed, carrying the faint scent of laundry detergent. Me mom had just washed it today. I slept very soundly that night without a single dream. When I woke up the next morning, sunlight was already streaming through the gaps in the curtains, painting a golden stripe on the floor. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, instinctively reaching to touch my hair. When my hand met the smooth scalp, I paused for a moment before remembering what had happened the day before. I sat on the bed in a daze for a while, then got up and pulled open the curtains. The sunlight flooded in all at once, making me squint down in the courtyard. Aunt Wong was walking her poodle. Uncle Lee was heading home with soy milk and fried dough sticks, and Grandma Jiang from the next unit was sitting in her wheelchair, basking in the sun. The world continued to operate as usual, as if nothing had ever changed. After washing up, I opened the wardrobe and rummaged around for a while before pulling out one of my dad's baseball caps. The cap was dark blue with a slightly worn brim, and the logo of some construction company printed on it. I put it on my head, looked at myself in the mirror, and then turned the brim to the back. Wearing a hat on a bald head gives a particularly secure feeling. The cap fits tightly against the scalp, not as slippery as it used to be when I had more hair. Then I went out. When I reached downstairs, I saw Lucy's mother. She lives right across from my house and exercises in the neighborhood every morning. At that moment, she was carrying a grocery basket back home, wearing a red sports jacket with white floral patterns, a pair of pink walking shoes, and her hair permed into small curls, looking full of energy. Seeing me come out of the hallway, her face immediately lit up with a smile. When I knew all too well, since I was little, she had always smiled at me like that, warmly, as if I were her own daughter. Xiao Xiao. She walked toward me, the celery leaves in her vegetable basket trembling with each step. Where are you off to so early? Oh, Why are you wearing a hat?" As she spoke, she reached out to take off my hat. Her movement, so natural it seemed like the most obvious thing to do. She used to do this, often touching my hair, pinching my cheeks, stuffing food into my hands, and I never guarded myself against her affection. But this time, I instinctively took a step back. Her hand froze midair, and the smile on her face stiffened for a moment. "What's wrong?" She looked at me puzzled. "Are you feeling unwell?" I looked at her face. Her features were very similar to Lucy's, especially when she smiled. The corners of her eyes slightly lifted, carrying an innate cheerfulness and warmth. She is a good person, and she has always been kind to me since I was little. Every New Year, the red envelope she gives me is thicker than the one she gives Lucy. And whenever she returns from a business trip, she always brings a gift for me. But she knows nothing. Her precious son, the one she says has always adored you since childhood, yesterday in front of everyone, cut my hair, recorded a video, and posted it online for tens of thousands of people to see. And now she stands before me, smiling as she tries to take off my hat as if nothing ever happened. "Auntie." I looked at her, my tone very calm. "Did Lucy not tell you?" "Tell me what?" She looked completely bewildered. "You should go back and ask him after saying this." I walked around her and headed towards the entrance of the residential area. Her voice came from behind. "This child, why does he talk so mysteriously?" I didn't look back. Walking on the way to school, I passed by that sycamore tree. Sunlight filtered through the gaps in the leaves, casting dappled spots of light on the ground. The name carved into the tree trunk was still there. After a night of wind, the dew on the bark had blurred it even more. I didn't stop moving forward. There were 17 days left until the college entrance exam. 17 days later, I would leave the city. I would go to a place without phoenix trees, get into a school that Lucy couldn't get into, and live a life that had nothing to do with him. I wouldn't fold another paper star, wouldn't take another sip of red bean-flavored soy milk, and wouldn't slip my hands into anyone's pockets on winter mornings. Those hairs, those stars, those foolish words written in the stars, all of them stayed in this May. I pushed down my hat brim and quickened my pace. The sun was already high, shining on my bare scalp, hidden beneath the hat, warm and pleasant. Suddenly, I thought baldness wasn't so bad after all. Cool, saves on shampoo, and I could wash my head with just one swipe while washing my face. The thought made me smile involuntarily. After laughing, I found that my heart didn't feel as heavy anymore. It was like the moment I stepped out of the bathroom after showering yesterday. The reflection in the mirror had changed, but it didn't seem so bad. I took out my phone, opened the camera, and took a photo of my bald head. No hat, just smooth and shiny, reflecting a bit of light under the sun. I glanced at the photo, then opened the social media platform that had been flooded with Luke's short videos. I posted an update, just one line, accompanied by the photo of me with a shaved head, feeling good with a buzz cut, clean and fresh. A new beginning. Good luck with the college entrance exam. After posting, I tucked my phone into my pocket, looked up at the school name on the roof of the distant teaching building. The 4 large characters gleaming golden in the sunlight. The smile still lingered at the corner of my mouth. After posting that update, I set my phone to silent, placed it face down on the desk, and opened the math practice exam booklet. The classroom was so quiet that only the faint rustling of pen tips gliding across paper could be heard. Someone in the back row was reciting softly. Footsteps occasionally echoed in the hallway, and sunlight streamed in diagonally through the window, warming my bald head. I kept my head down, working on the problem. It took me 3 tries to finally get the derivative question right. When I looked up and stretched my sore neck, I happened to meet Sue Annan's gaze. She was sitting diagonally in front of me, turning her head to look at me with a cautious, probing gaze in her eyes. When she saw me looking back, she froze for a moment, then quickly turned her head away, her ears slightly flushed. I lowered my head and continued working on the problems. When the class ended, I packed my bag and prepared to leave. Sue Annan doled while packing her things, and just as I reached the door, she suddenly hurried after me. "Lin Xiao Xiao," she called out to me, her voice not loud, but clear. I turned back to look at her. She stood in the hallway, carrying a canvas backpack that had faded slightly from washing, her hands gripping the straps tightly. After pressing her lips together several times, she finally spoke. "I saw the post you shared yesterday. I liked it for you," she said. I also forwarded it. I was a bit surprised. Sue Annerin has always had a low profile in our class, average to above average grades, soft-spoken, and never involved in any gossip or conflicts. I knew exactly what it meant. When she shared my past, it was almost like publicly taking a stand, standing by me amidst the class's laughter. "Thanks," I said. "You're welcome." She shook her head, paused for a moment, then said, "I've always felt that Lucy isn't good enough for you." After saying this, she turned and walked away quickly, as if afraid I would press her further. The canvas shoes made a soft sound on the torto floor, and her ponytail swung back and forth behind her. I watched her back disappear at the stairwell, and an indescribable feeling welled up inside me. Not moved, not warmed, but more like a confirmation, confirming that there are indeed people in this world watching men laughing at me, but truly seeing me as a person. When I got home, I heard the sound of an argument coming from next door before I even entered the door. It's not quite accurate to call it an argument, because there was only one voice. It was Lucy's father's voice, full of vigor, so clear it could be heard through the security door. "Are you out of your mind? Did you even think about the consequences? When you did this, what will the girl think? Where will our Lou family's face be?" Then came Lucy's mother's voice, sharp and urgent with a sob in her tone. "Stop hitting him. The child is about to take the college entrance exam. Can't we talk about this after the exam?" I stood at my own doorstep, keys in hand, not in a hurry to open the door. The noise next door was so loud that the motion-sensing lights in the hallway were triggered and turned on. I heard Lucy say something, his voice low and indistinct, but his tone clearly carried impatience. Then came a loud slap, sharp and solid, as if delivered with full force. "College entrance exam." His father's voice was trembling, whether from anger or something else. "Did you think about the college entrance exam? When you did this, you shaved that girl's hair and posted it online. Did you think about how she's supposed to take the college entrance exam? Did you even consider that?" I opened my own door, walked inside, and shut the sound of the argument behind me. My mom was sitting in the living room, a phone in front of her with the screen lit up. She glanced at me, her expression complicated, like she was relieved, but also holding something back. "Lucy's father just came by," she said. I put down my school bag and sat beside her. What did he want to apologize? He brought a lot of things, but I refused to accept them. My mother's voice was calm, but the knuckles of her hand gripping the remote turned white. He stood at the door and bowed 3 times, saying sorry, saying that kid was out of his mind, and that he would definitely discipline him properly. And then I asked him, "Did your son delete that video he posted?" I picked up my mom's phone and opened Lucy's account. The video hadn't been deleted. Not only was it not deleted, but the view count has already surpassed 500,000. The comments section has completely exploded. I scrolled down a few pages and saw some content that wasn't there last night. "Is this loose CI guy out of his mind? Does anyone know this girl? Is she okay? Forward, and spread this to let more people see the scumbag. I'm from the 20th high school." This loose CI was already disciplined once in his 2nd year of high school for fighting and breaking a boy's nose from the neighboring class. It's been revealed that his girlfriend is named Shunting Won. Tav have been together for several months, and she's not a good person either. Shunting Won, the one who plays the gajang. My friend's sister is in the same art exam class as her, and said she's two-faced. She once broke a competitor's strings, and it was only discovered after checking the surveillance footage. Damn, is this really that shocking? My hand froze on the screen. My mom leaned in to take a look and gasped sharply. The comments kept piling up, adding dozens more each time I refreshed. Someone posted a photo of Lou S.'s disciplinary file from his 2nd year of high school for fighting. Someone wrote a long article about Shin Ting-won breaking someone else's violin strings during art exam prep class. And even someone tagged the official Weibo accounts of the universities they each applied to, demanding that the schools review students with such character issues. My mom's voice trembled slightly. "What's going on?" I wanted to know what was going on, 2. I opened the class group chat, and the atmosphere had completely changed. The haha and lug goo is awesome that were flooding the screen yesterday have completely disappeared, replaced by various screenshots and forwarded links. Someone posted screenshots of the negative comments under Lou S's account in the group. Another shared Shingwen's dark history, and others were discussing how this incident had already been picked up and spread by marketing accounts. All members, please don't speak recklessly. This situation escalating won't benefit anyone. The class monitor sent a message. Someone replied below. Now you realize it's bad. Why didn't you think about that when you were laughing yesterday? Someone replied, I thought it was too much at the time, but I didn't have the nerve to say anything. Someone replied, someone has already posted the video to the Education Bureau's reporting platform. I looked at these messages, said nothing, and left the group chat. My phone vibrated again. It was a private message from Sue and Lin Xiao. Are you okay? I'm Mifine. I replied. Did you see the trending topics? My heart tightened, and I opened the trending topics page. High school senior girl bullied by having her head shaved. This topic is trending at number 32 on the hot search list. Clicking in the top post is from a local news account featuring my photo. It's a screenshot from the cover of the video that Lucy posted. The caption reads, according to Netsons, a senior girl at a key high school was publicly humiliated by a male classmate who shaved her head. The incident was recorded and uploaded as a short video, leading to widespread sharing. The boy also captioned the post with, this is the karma of a childhood friend who has no sense of boundaries. The video is still circulating, and the girl involved has not yet responded. The reposts have already exceeded 20,000. There are over 30,000 comments. The top comment reads, is this guy even human? The second most popular comment says, what kind of grudge or hatred could drive someone to cut a girl's hair like this? And then post it online. Is he mentally disturbed? The third top comment, childhood sweethearts, more like childhood enemies. I'd say after over a decade of feelings to end up like this. It's truly heartbreaking. The fourth top comment, has anyone dug into this guy's background? My fingers trembled slightly. It wasn't anger. Nor was it fear. It was a strange sensation like taking a sip of ice water on a freezing winter day. The chills sliding from my throat all the way down to my stomach, jolting me wide awake. I never thought things would turn out like this. When I posted that update, I just wanted people who know me to know that I, Lin Xiao, wasn't defeated by this incident. I never intended to make a big deal out of it, never thought about trending on social media, and certainly never wanted to ruin Lucy and Shinting Wan's reputations. But that's how things are now. The phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated for a moment, then answered, is this Lindsay Xiao? This is a reporter from the Urban Evening News. We'd like to interview you about what happened at your school yesterday. I'm sorry, I won't give an interview. I hung up the phone. Then came a second unknown call, followed by a third, a fourth. I simply turned off my phone. The living room fell silent. My mother sat on the sofa, her eyes red, but she didn't cry. She looked at me. Her lips moved. And finally, she just said, are you hungry? Let me make you a bowl of noodles. Good. She got up and went to the kitchen. The range had started humming again, and the sounds of a spatula, boiling water, and noodles being added to the pot blended together, making me feel at ease. No matter how chaotic the world outside may be, everything in this house is still running as usual. My mom is cooking noodles. My dad will be off work soon. The pot hose on the windowsill is still growing, and there's half a watermelon left in the fridge. I'm sitting on the floor, leaning against the sofa, looking up at the ceiling. The skin on my bald head is pressed against the cool fabric of the sofa, and the sensation is strange, slippery. The doorbell rang. My mom pokes her head out from the kitchen, still holding chopsticks. Who is it? I'll get it. I stood up and walked to the door, peeking through the peephole. Standing outside was Lucy. This was the first time I had seen him since I shaved my head. He stood at my doorstep, wearing a gray t-shirt, his hair disheveled with a clear red mark on his left cheek, likely from his father hitting him. He lowered his eyes, his shoulders slumped, and he looked like a dog drenched in the rain. I opened the door, but didn't undo the security chain, leaving only a palm with gap. He saw my bald head and froze for a moment. That moment of hesitation lasted only a fraction of a second. But I caught it. A complex expression flickered in his eyes. Hard to tell whether it was shock, guilt, or something else. His Adam's apple rolled up and down, and, when he spoke, his voice was as if he hadn't drunk water in days. Xiao Xiao. I didn't say anything. Just looked at him. I came to apologize to you. He lifted the bag he was carrying. It was full of fruits like oranges, apples, and bananas, the plastic bag bulging with contents. I know I did something terrible. I'm sorry. Lucy. I interrupted him. He stopped looking at me, his eyes carrying an expression I had never seen on his face before. Not regret, not guilt, but more like fear. What is he afraid of? Afraid that I won't forgive him? Or afraid of something else? Did you see the trending topic? I asked. His face changed color. That change was subtle, but it didn't escape my eyes. Of course. I've watched him for 17 years. I know every expression, every little gesture of his like the back of my hand. The corner of his mouth twitched. The corners of his eyes drooped slightly, and his nostrils flared a little. This was a reaction he only had when he was extremely tense. Xiao Xiao. I'll delete that video right away. I really will delete it right away. Can you? He took a step forward. The security chain tightened, blocking his shoulder. Can you make a statement or something? Saying the situation isn't as serious as it's being spread online. That it was just a joke between you and me. Just fooling around. I repeated those 3 words. His mouth opened, then closed again, pouring a basin of cold water over me from head to toe. And you call that fooling around? My voice was very calm, as if stating a fact that had nothing to do with me. You cut my hair strand by strand with scissors, and you call that fooling around? You filmed a video, added captions, posted it online for tens of thousands of people to see, and you call that fooling around? Lucy's face turned red, and then pale. Then tell me. I looked at him, and said word by word, who was the one who said the retribution of a childhood friend with no sense of boundaries yesterday? Was it you? What terrible thing did I do to deserve such retribution? He didn't answer. The sound of the range had stopped. My mom came out of the kitchen carrying 2 bowls of noodles, and upon seeing the scene at the door, she paused for a moment. She placed the bowls on the dining table, and walked over to stand behind me. Sayoi. My mom's voice was cold, something I had never heard before. When she spoke to Lucy, go back, Auntie. Lucy's voice was choked with tears, truly filled with tears, not faked. Auntie, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Please let Xiao Xiao forgive me. Our family's relationship between the 2 families. My mother's voice suddenly rose. Now you remember the relationship between the 2 families. Did you remember it? When you cut her hair yesterday. Did you remember it? When you posted the video. Lucy was speechless, pushed to the edge. Just then, the door next door opened. Lucy's mother rushed out, wearing a house coat, her hair uncombed, tear stains on her face, and threw herself over as soon as she saw the commotion at my doorstep. Shu Qin. Shu Qin. She called out my mother's name, her voice sharp and trembling. Old sister, all the wrongs are Shia's fault. I'll cow out to you on his behalf. Okay. Please let Xiao Xiao show mercy. If this continues, Zhao's future will be completely ruined. He still has to take the college entrance exam. He still has to go to university. She said it, and actually knelt down. My mother's face instantly turned very unpleasant. She took a step to the side, not accepting her. Get up, my mother said. Lucy's mother knelt on the ground, tears streaming down her face, clutching my mother's pant leg, and refusing to let go. The motion sensor light in the hallway lit up again. The neighbor's door cracked open a sliver, then quietly closed. Shuin, we've known each other for so many years. Just for the sake of our sisterhood, please let Shii off this time. She was crying so hard that her makeup had smudged, black mascara streaking under her lower eyelids, making her look utterly disheveled. My mother looked down at her, her lips moving slightly. At that moment, the elevator doors opened. My dad stepped out of the elevator, carrying a briefcase in his hand, and wearing a work uniform that had been washed to a faded hue. Seeing the scene at the doorstep, he paused for a moment, his gaze sweeping from Lucy's face to his mother kneeling on the ground, then finally settling on me. He didn't say a word, just nodded at me, then walked around the group, took out his keys, unlocked the door, and went inside. As he passed by me, he reached out and gently patted my bald head. "The noodles are getting cold. Let's eat first," he said. I murmured and turned to close the door. "Xiao, Lucy," I suddenly reached out and pressed against the door panel. His strength was great, and the door wouldn't close. "Are you really so heartless? We grew up together. Did you have any feelings at all?" I looked at his anxious face and suddenly felt a strange sense of unfamiliarity. His eyebrows, eyes, nose, mouth, every feature was incredibly familiar to me. Yet, when combined, they seemed to form someone else entirely. Not the one who held my hand tightly in the dead of winter. Not the one who carved our names into the plane tree. Not the one who whispered in my ear, "I think I might like you." That was just someone rushing to put out the fire after everything had been exposed. "Lucy, let me explain something to you." He froze. "Did your father teach you? When you were young, when you make a mistake, you admit it. When you get hit, you stand straight. What you did yesterday wasn't a joke, wasn't a momentary impulse sight, was deliberate, public humiliation. You chose to do it in the dormitory because you wanted everyone to see. You filmed it and posted it online because you wanted even more people to see. You even added text, carefully crafting a headline. My voice isn't loud, but every word is clear. You made me crouch on the ground, humiliated, and exposed to everyone's laughter while your Shinting Wan sat on the edge of the bed, swinging her legs and enjoying the scene. When you did these things, did you ever think about how much it hurt me? Did you ever consider how I would face everyone? Did you ever think that I am also a person with dignity?" Lucy's hand slid down from the door panel. "Now that things have blown up, you finally feel the pain. But Lucy, what hurts you isn't the fact that you hurt my being criticized online. It's the fear of ruining your own future. You came to apologize to me not because you think you were wrong, but because you think the price is too high." He opened his mouth, but not a single word came out. If apologies were useful, what would we need the police for? I looked into his eyes. "What you did is more than just a moral issue. It's school bullying. You publicly posted a video of a minor being humiliated online, which constitutes spreading violent information. These things can't be just wiped away with a simple 'I'm sorry.'" Lucy's face turned completely pale. Lucy's mother kneeling on the ground was also stunned. Tears hung on her face, and her expression shifted from pleading to terror. Xiao, you're not going to call the police, are you?" Her voice trembled. I didn't answer. I closed the door. The sound of the security door closing was dull and decisive. The cries and pleas from outside were cut off, becoming vague and distant. I leaned against the door for a moment, took a deep breath, then walked to the dining table and sat down. The noodles had already clumped a bit, so my mom added another spoonful of hot soup, steaming and fragrant. My dad sat across from me and had already started eating, the slurping sound of his noodles, exactly the same as usual. "Dad." "Huh, you're right." I picked up a mouthful of noodles with my chopsticks. "Hair can grow back if it's gone." He glanced at me, the corner of his mouth twitching slightly. My mother sat down beside me, picked up her chopsticks only to set them down again, glanced at me several times, and finally couldn't help but ask, "Josiao, when you mentioned calling the police, was that for real? Or were you just trying to scare them?" I took a bite of the noodles. They were cooked just right, neither too soft nor too firm. The tomato and egg sauce my mother made was perfectly seasoned, just the way I've grown up eating it. I was just stating a fact. I swallowed the noodles and looked up at her. Not every "I'm sorry" needs to be answered with "it's okay." The next day was Sunday. I turned on my phone, and a flood of messages poured in. The trending topic jumped from 32nd to 11th place, with the hashtag "High Schoolgirl Bullied by Hair Shaving" surpassing 300 million views. Several major media outlets published related reports, all using consistent stern language, employing keywords like school bullying, violent humiliation, and online dissemination. The Education Bureau issued a notice stating that an investigation team has been formed, and the matter will be dealt with seriously. The official WeChat account of the university Lucy I applied to was flooded with tens of thousands of comments, all demanding that the school carefully consider the admission issue. The school Shintingwen applied to was not spared. Iron netizens dug up every detail of her art exam class incident, and some even found surveillance video screenshots from that year. The class group chat fell into silence. Since last night, no one had sent a single message, not even an emoji. At noon, Sue Annan sent me a link. Take a look at this. I clicked on it and saw it was a video. The uploader was a sophomore from our school who shared her experience of being isolated by Shantang Wan during her freshman year. Shantang Wan is exactly that kind of person. The girl in the video wore a mask, revealing only her eyes, and her voice trembled slightly. She's really good at pretending one thing to your face, another behind your back. When I first started high school, I was assigned to the same dorm as her. She looked down on me for being country, and because my family is from a rural area, so she turned the whole dorm against me. The worst time, she poured ink on my bed, completely ruining my bedding. When I told the teacher, they didn't believe me, saying someone as outstanding as Shantang Wan would never do such a thing. The video's view count surpassed 1 million in just 2 hours. Someone commented below, "What kind of powerful background does Shantang Wan have? How can she get away with so much wrongdoing without anyone stepping in?" It didn't take long for someone to dig it up. Shantang Wan's uncle is a mid-level official at the Municipal Education Bureau. The reason she had escaped trouble several times after being reported was because her uncle had pulled strings behind the scenes. The whistleblower directly released internal documents and work photos, leaving no room for doubt. At 3 p.m., the Education Bureau's official Weibo account posted a second notice. Shantang Wan's uncle had been suspended for investigation. Shantang Wan, suspected of school bullying, had her eligibility for the college entrance exam that year revoked, and further disciplinary actions would be announced later at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Luke's account finally deleted that video, but it was already too late. The video had been downloaded, screen recorded, and reposted by countless people, making its deletion irrelevant. He posted an apology statement, writing over 1,000 words in a lengthy and elaborate manner, claiming he was young and ignorant, acted impulsively, and sincerely repented, pleading for everyone to give him a chance to turn over a new leaf. The top comment underneath had only one sentence: "Did you think about giving Lin Xiao a chance?" When you posted the video, he didn't reply. In the evening, the homeroom teacher sent a message in the class group chat: "There will be an online parent-teacher meeting at 7:30 tonight, and all students and parents must attend." At 7:30, my mom and I sat in front of the computer. The video conference was packed with people. I saw many familiar faces: the class monitor, the academic committee member, the sports committee member, the representatives for each subject, and those who had held up their phones to film me in the dormitory yesterday. Their expressions varied. Some avoided eye contact, others looked nervous, and a few pretended to be completely calm. Lucy's profile picture was also there, but his camera was off. Next to his name was a red microphone-disabled icon. The homeroom teacher cleared his throat, his expression as serious as if he were about to announce the college entrance exam results. "Parents and students, today's emergency meeting is called regarding a serious violation of school rules and discipline that occurred on campus the day before yesterday." He paused, his gaze sweeping over each face on the screen. "After investigation and evidence collection, the school has determined that the physical harm and personal insult inflicted by student Lucy on student Lin Xiao, as well as the act of filming the process and uploading it online, are clear in fact and severe in nature." Messages began scrolling in the chat box on the screen. The school has decided after deliberation. First, student Lucy will be placed on probation, and all his eligibility for awards and honors will be revoked. Second, the 12 students who participated as bystanders will receive a formal reprimand. Third, the disciplinary facts regarding student Lee will be recorded in his college entrance examination comprehensive quality evaluation file. The chat window exploded. Comprehensive quality evaluation file. Isn't that a file that follows you for life? My goodness. Recording files at this critical moment. Lucy is completely finished. Are we being criticized? 2. I just happened to glance at it. Why did you do it in the first place if you knew this would happen? Weren't you all having fun? When you were filming the video, the homeroom teacher raised her voice to drown out the noise. Quiet. The screen fell silent for a moment. Parents, the school has made this decision after careful consideration. The teacher said gravely, with the college entrance exam approaching. We understand your anxiety and pressure, but this cannot be an excuse for tolerating school violence. Luce's actions have violated relevant laws and regulations, and the school will cooperate with the education authorities and the public security organs to further investigate and handle the matter. The moment the words Public Security Bureau appeared, the chat box on the screen exploded once again. They called the police. Could they be detained? Where's Lucy? Lucy, say something. Lucy's profile picture flashed once, and then left the meeting. Immediately after, Lucy's father's profile picture also disappeared. An eerie silence fell over the meeting room. The homeroom teacher adjusted his glasses, sighed, and continued, also, regarding the issue with shunting one, the Education Bureau has already intervened in the investigation. The outcome should be clear to everyone by now. No one spoke. The chat box fell silent as well. Finally, the homeroom teachers gazed through the screen, turned toward me. I'd like to say a few words to Lin Xiaoxiao. Everyone turned to look at me. My mother squeezed my hand tightly. Student Lin Xiaoxiao, the school deeply regrets the harm you have suffered. Your strength and composure have earned the admiration of all teachers. The school will do everything possible to ensure you can smoothly take the college entrance examination if you need any help. Please feel free to contact me or any teacher at any time. I nodded. Also, the homeroom teacher hesitated for a moment. Student Lin Xiaoxiao regarding the settlement request made by Mr. Lu Sei's family teacher. I began to speak. Everyone perked up their ears. My stance has always been clear. Whatever the law decides, we follow. Whatever the school regulations stipulate, we enforce. I don't need an apology, nor do I need compensation. I only hope this incident can make everyone understand one thing. You can dislike someone, you can draw a clear line with someone, but you cannot use insults to justify your choices. That's not cool. It's malicious. The meeting room fell silent for a full 5 seconds. Then Sue Annan's microphone suddenly lit up. Her voice was soft, but firm. Lin Xiaoxiao, I support you. The second microphone lit up. It was our class's labor committee member, a usually quiet boy. I also support Lin Xiaoxiao. I wasn't there the day before yesterday. If I had been, I wouldn't have let that happen. The third microphone lit up. The fourth. The fifth. More. And more microphones lit up. More. And more people spoke. And their voices gradually merged into a wave. Those who were laughing just the day before yesterday. Some lowered their heads. Some turned off their cameras. And some typed line after line of I'm sorry in the chat box. I turned off my microphone. Not because I had nothing to say, but because I felt it no longer mattered, whether they apologized or not. It was all in the past for me. That hair will never grow back on my head, and the person holding the scissors will never return to my past. My life is still long, and I can't let myself get stuck in this afternoon. In May, the online parent-teacher conference ended. My mom closed her laptop and glanced at me. Feel better? She asked me. I thought for a moment. Sort of. She raised an eyebrow. Pretty good. Huh. I smiled. I'm not living just to get even. My mom stared at me for a long time, then suddenly reached out and ruffled my bald head. She rubbed it hard, her palm warm, making my whole head shake like a rattle. Her eyes sparkled, but her mouth was smiling. All right, she said. My daughter has grown up lying in bed at night. I received the last message from Sue Onren. Lin Xiaoxiao Lucy just posted a moment on social media saying he will turn himself in tomorrow. I stared at these words for a while. The wind started blowing outside, and the leaves of the plane trees rustled loudly. The plane tree with 2 names carved into it must be swaying in the wind as well. When the sun rises tomorrow, those leaves will still be there, and the 2 lines of carvings will still be there, too, but it will no longer be a thorn in my heart. I turned over and sent Sue Anan a message. Got it. Go to sleep. We have class tomorrow. I turn off my phone and close my eyes. The feeling of the bald head against the pillow was still slippery, and I wasn't fully used to it yet. But that's okay. I'll get used to it gradually. As my dad said, hair can grow back if it's gone. As for the rest, some things once gone are gone forever, and don't need to return. The wind outside the window gradually died down. I fell asleep. The end. Story 2. The scorching apocalypse arrived as the mummification virus swept across the world. The system teleported 2 beastmen right in front of me. And my roommate. She chose the delicate merman over the rugged lion man. But the pampered merman kept holding her back. The lion man's combat prowess was extraordinary, carving a path through enemy lines with me in tow. On the very day our alliance formed, my dying roommate poisoned and abducted me. When I opened my eyes again, we'd somehow been transported back to the orc selection ceremony. One chosen ones. You may now make your selection. A cold mechanical voice rang out. My eyes fluttered open, meeting the mermaid's pale blue gaze. I choose this one, my roommate Opal shouted, darting toward another beast folk and slapping a stamp on it with dramatic flair. The binding successful chime rang out. She exhaled in relief and shot me a challenging look. Bet you didn't see this coming. Sage, the Leo man is mine in this lifetime. This lifetime. Ha! Looks like she's been reborn just like me. So, I said calmly, and she clapped her hands in amusement. You know better than I do how powerful Leo is. Without him in our past life, you'd never have gained everyone's admiration or formed that alliance. Opal spread her arms wide, her eyes gleaming with manic intensity. In my past life, I chose the wrong orc. That's how you lucked out and got the upper hand. But the heavens gave me a second chance, and now the lion man is bound to me. So I, Opal, am destined to be the protagonist of this apocalypse. Your savior. All of you. No wonder in my past life, when I kindly treated her illness, she tricked me into drinking poison porridge on the Alliance's founding day, taking us both down together. Turns out this person had been a lunatic all along. Then I wish you success, oh savior. After giving a half-hearted reply, I went to form the bond with the mermaid. She stepped in front of me before I could move. Sage, we were roommates once. If you kneel and cow out 3 times, then willingly become my orc's plaything. It's beast a burden. An entertainment. I might just consider letting you. Opal's words died abruptly. My blade was already pressed against her delicate throat. Opal, you think you're something special? Ha! Want me to cow out 3 times and light incense for you? 2. Sage, you're insane. Her voice trembled. I'm the chosen protagonist here. Lay 1 finger on me and see what happens. The chosen protagonist. I sneered. Let's see if your plot armor can save you one more time. My grip tightened on the blade. A crimson line bloomed across her porcelain neck. So, I was wrong. Sage, please don't do anything rash. I spoke without thinking. Just put the knife down. I'm begging you. I don't want to die. My face darkened. I'll admit it for that split second. I genuinely wanted to kill her after all. She was the one who ended me in my past life. But my gaze traveled past Opal to the lion man behind her. His eyes half-lidded. His combat prowess was truly remarkable. But perfection eludes even beasts, just as it does men. Behind the brilliance lies an abyss. The lion man's other face is a mountain of corpses built from flesh and blood, dangerous enough to kill me 1,000 times over. A clean slit throat. It would be too merciful for Opal. Didn't she want to be the protagonist of the apocalypse? Then let's see if fate will grant her that role right now. Opal was begging for mercy. Through snot and tears, I sheathed my knife and grabbed her by the collar. Get out, and don't you dare bother me again. Out. You're kicking me out. I paid the damn rent. What gives you the right? I twirled the knife deftly in one hand. She shuddered involuntarily. Fine. I'm leaving right now. Ich has it Opal. And the lion man to the doorway. She took 2 steps back, her face instantly darkening. Sage, you're the one burning bridges tonight. That mermaid's nothing, but dead weight binding with it will ruin you forever. Next time we meet, I'll grind you under my heel. I shut the door, ignoring her. Yapping to my surprise, I turned straight into the mermaid's path. It gazed at me with calm eyes. Master, I've been waiting for you. It raised its hand before me. So now, bind yourself to me. Let me be your orc. From this day forth, we share one life, one death, one destiny. Two so hot, I kept squirming, when a sudden chill crept across my waist. Reaching out, my fingers met something soft and slippery. I grabbed it and instinctively pressed it against my chest. Master, that's not allowed. A male voice chimed in, and my eyes flew open. Soren was crouched beside me, watching me with an amused smile. You're awake. I released my grip on his tail and cleared my throat awkwardly. Awake now. The moment I spoke, it suddenly propped up its upper body and brought its face close to mine. Hot breath puffed against my ear. Now that you're awake, go find us some food. I'm certain my master will annihilate those revolting mummies today and return triumphant. The way they made such cruel words sound so suggestive actually made my breath catch. It seems the ancient legends didn't lie after all, merfolk. All of them are beautiful monsters skilled in beguiling human hearts. I leaned out to peer through the window. The streets were piling up with more desiccated corpses. It's been 8 days. Still won't come out with me. Yeah, I've been operating solo for a week now. Though Opal kept calling merfolk dead weights, I just thought they were weaker in combat. Never imagined they couldn't even move alongside humans like other beast folk. The first couple days were manageable. 90% of people chose to stay home waiting for rescue. Getting supplies is still relatively easy for me. The zombies move slowly and aren't too numerous easy to take down when encountered, but after a week, most areas have already fallen. Their numbers have multiplied, and they've become noticeably faster. With no rescue in sight, panic spread through the crowd, and looting began to break out. Some resorted to extreme violence, even killing over a few cans of soda. Orcs carried dimensional storage. Having him around would take a huge load off my shoulders. Besides, once bonded, we share the same system interface, including hunger and thirst meters. You'll die if it reaches 0. The messed up part is we have to stay together just to replenish these through eating and drinking. If he can't leave, I'll have to clock in daily just to eat here for my health. It's such a hassle and a total time waster. Soren was sitting on the edge of the bed at that moment. Upon hearing my question, it let its tail droop to the floor. Master, I'll give it a try. It stood up. The next second, it let out a muffled groan and collapsed straight down. Startled, I rushed to catch it. Only then did I notice countless red marks covering the other side of its tail. Are you hurt? I asked. Soren frantically hid his tail behind his back. Master, I'm Mefine. Don't worry. Speak. It opened its mouth, hesitated for a few seconds, then whispered. Soren wanted to help ease your burdens like other beast folk do. So, I quietly opened the balcony door while you were asleep. But merfolk naturally fear heat. The moment my tail touched the outdoor ground, it got scalded. I remember your conversation that night, though I don't understand this past lives concept. I can guess that Lion Man was originally your beast folk companion. Wasn't he? At this point, he let out a sigh and lowered his head. That lion guy looks so protective, unlike me, who just ends up being a burden. Right now, Soren looks like a pitiful little puppy with hurt feelings. After muttering a few more words to itself, it suddenly raised its head, tear-filled eyes with reiners. Master, have you ever regretted binding with me? Outside, the temperature soared to 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. 3 downstairs, desiccated corpses wailed endlessly. I'm a driven woman who's been reborn to continue building my empire. This should be an adrenaline-pumping power fantasy. Yet, the mermaid before me clearly doesn't belong in the scene. Could the system have actually glitched? Appearing in titles like Mermaid Reborn, Love Me Again, The Mermaid's Deadly Romance, Siren Seduction? Did you really bring that cliché plot device here? This is the apocalypse. A scorching hot apocalypse. We're fighting for survival here. And you're asking if I have regrets. I do regret it. Once an orc is bound, the connection cannot be severed. Now we're bound together by a single life force to prevent its emotions from endangering my life. I have no choice but to humor it. I smoothed Soren's hair and shook my head. Of course, I don't regret it. You're wonderful. Though the other beast folk can follow orders. You I what? He asked with sparkling eyes. I maintained a calm exterior while desperately scrambling for compliments in my mind out of the corner of my eye. I caught sight of the tail beside me. I clapped my hands. But your tail is so cool. It helps me stay cool and sleep soundly every night. That's absolutely amazing in this scorching weather. Soren, you're the best. With that, I immediately stood up to put on my heat-resistant gear, stop overthinking, and focus on recovering. I've got everything handled outside. You won't go hungry. Turns out not everyone can provide emotional support. This thing is even more exhausting than killing zombies. Master, are you absolutely certain? Impressed, I nodded. Yes, absolutely. Truer than pure gold. All right, I got to go now. I'll bring back treats. The sudden flash of my personal interface cut off my unfinished words. Congratulations, host. You've completed the mermaid-exclusive quest, being chosen with conviction. First quest reward, 50 attribute points, freely distributable among combat, companionship, and storage. Mermaid-exclusive interface unlocked. Subsequent quests can be accessed through panel prompts. Before I could process what happened, 3 new attribute lines appeared in the previously empty bottom left panel. Full capacity is 100, currently all at 0. Showbot prevents document forgery for book-finding bots. Choose Xiao reliable heavy check mark. And scam-free exclusive dashboard. So mermaids are actually Ray's entering characters. Jackpot. Soren, look, you can come out with me now. I pointed at the companion's status bar and turned to him excitedly. Soren was staring straight at me. Seems my master really wants us to be inseparable. What nonsense is he talking about? Going out together makes it easier for me to load stuff into the space. Of course, I want to. I forced a smile and didn't respond to him. Shifted my gaze to those 50 skill points. He stored them in his dimensional inventory. As for combat prowess, after a moment's hesitation, I decided to go all in and max out the follow skill. Skill points allocation complete. After the notification chime, I turned to look at Soren on the bed. He didn't seem any different except for slightly flushed cheeks. I opened the balcony door and beckoned to him. Soren, come out and give it a try. His face turned even redder after I said that. That's when I noticed it was still under the blanket in the scorching heat. Trying to get heat stroke or what? Are you okay? Why on earth are you covering? I walked over while saying this and reached to pull. Master, don't. It raised a hand to stop me, but I was quicker. And then I saw a pair of powerful slender legs. Oh my, oh my, oh my. A little tiger bot anti-piracy file protection. Choose little for book-finding bots. Tiger reliable and trustworthy. No pitfalls, for is this what happens when you drag the follow attribute halfway? Wow. The fish tail just turned into legs. I immediately turned around and theatrically covered my eyes with my hand. And of course, I couldn't resist saying that classic line. I didn't see anything. Never gets old seeing Master flustered like this. He murmured, "Huh? What did you say?" I asked, puzzled. What do you mean, how many times? Isn't this our first binding? Never mind, he said, his tone suddenly tinged with melancholy. Before I could press further, I felt a tug at my sleeve. Master, could you help me find a pair of pants? He spoke up, reverting to his usual obedient puppy demeanor. Maybe I just misheard earlier. A few minutes later, I scratched my head sheepishly while looking at him. Sorry about this. Just bear with the outfit for now. There's a mall 2 blocks away where we can get you changed. Soren glanced down at the floor-length skirt, then back up at me on the verge of falling apart, yet still managing a smile. What I wear doesn't matter. Being able to go out with my owner is what truly counts. The moment those words left his mouth, a guttural roar echoed from outside the room. Then the front door began to shudder. Oh no, the ghouls are banging on the door. That can't be right based on my past life experience. Ghouls usually roam the streets during the first week and never climb stairs. But since Soren couldn't go out with me, I took precautions. I actually skinned 2 ghouls' leather belts during my last outing and pasted them on the front door. The mummy scent at the entrance should have been enough to throw them off. Though these decoys do need regular replacement. But it's barely the 3rd day. No way the scent faded this fast. Just then, a yellowish-green shadow flashed into view downstairs. It darted swiftly through the rows of mummified corpses before halting directly across from me on the balcony. That streak of yellow was the Lion Man. As for the green, it was opal-clad in corpse, leather riding on its back. Our eyes locked midair. She tilted her head triumphantly and shouted, "My bad, Sage. Thought only that useless was home. Figured I'd send the mummy in to finish it off. That would take you out, too. Didn't expect you'd be here. Perfect. You two can die together. Haha, haha." She threw her head back in maniacal laughter. My hands clenched involuntarily into fists set. My sides. At that moment, the gate crashed to the ground with a thunderous boom. Countless mummified corpses came pouring in frantically for secure document protection against piracy. Choose Xiaobot. Reliable, stable, and hassle-free. Soren. Go. 5. I grabbed its arm, ready to leap off the balcony. Not only did he not move, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me into his arms. Seriously, dude, you're pulling romantic moves in a life or death situation. Are you out of your mind? Hurry up. And look, he shot me a knowing glance and cut me off mid-sentence. I didn't turn around immediately, because I'd also noticed the invading mummies weren't attacking us. They seemed drawn by something more important, stampeding toward the balcony before leaping down. What's going on? I wondered. Also, could you let go? I can barely breathe. Soren reluctantly loosened his gripper on me, but before I could relax for even 2 seconds, he slipped his arm around my waist again. I was suddenly lifted into the air. As he carried me to the other side, while moving me, he swiftly raised his leg and delivered a powerful kick forward. A desiccated corpse had its head kicked clean off. Had we not switched positions, it would have been me who lost my life. I thanked him, though something felt off. Soren's combat ability is literally 0. But that fluid combo just now, clearly skilled. Thanks. Piss off. Disgusting creep. Sage. What underhanded tricks did you pull? Why are these beasts all coming after me? Get away. Get the hell away. Opal kept cursing downstairs. A horde of desiccated corpses was hot on her heels. They came in waves, their numbers overwhelming like a tidal surge. It suddenly occurred to me that I might have heard a faint door-opening sound while getting clothes for Soren, combined with his calm reaction. "You're doing?" I asked. Soren nodded and admitted frankly, "Yes. I spotted them the moment they showed up, and accidentally overheard that woman's scheme. There happened to be a fresh corpse in the hallway, so I skinned it and sandwiched the hide between those 2 other skins. Human blood really is the best bait for mummies, but he couldn't have taken more than 10 seconds opening and closing that door. He not only skinned the corpse in such a short time, but also sandwiched it between those 2 flid skins on the door. He gently shook my hand. I only did this for safety reasons. Master doesn't think I'm cruel, does he? Staring at that innocent face before me, I instinctively wanted to take 2 steps back, but the attribute prompt on the panel made me reconsider. How could that be? You did great. After all, Opal tried to harm us first. Soren, thank you for protecting me. You're truly the best orc in the world. I'm so lucky to have you. I took a step forward and gently embraced him. The moment their bodies touched, the notification chime sounded again. Congratulations, host. You've completed the Mermaid exclusive quest. Ultimate recognition, quest reward 30 skill points. A beastkin exclusive system. I'd say Sage's bootlicking system would be a more accurate name. With the skill points secured, I slipped out of his embrace. Now that the following issue is resolved, time to get down to business. We can't stay here anymore. Let's head to Zone. Zone is where I established the alliance in my past life. It's also where I met my best companion, Arya. Arya was a few months younger than me, always tagging along, calling me Big Sis this and Big Sis that. She doesn't have orcs, nor is she skilled at killing ghouls, but she's a wizard with electronics 6, bringing endless convenience to our lives. We met during a ghoul extermination operation. The undead are hunting humans. The screams reached us while Lion Man and I were browsing the nearby electronics mall. Lion Man's eyes lit up with excitement. When he heard the noise, I knew he was battle-hardened, but that commotion sounded like serious business. In the apocalypse, your own safety comes first. Our main objective today is finding a generator. Don't go looking for trouble. The lion man hung his head and fell silent. On our way back, we passed by the battlefield, just in time to witness the girl pushing corpses off herself and staggering to her feet. She survived by playing dead. When our eyes met, she was visibly shaken. So shaken, she didn't even notice the two ghouls feasting on corpses nearby that the mummies instantly stopped feeding at the sound. Their stiff necks creaked as they turned, bearing blood-red mows. Before lunging at her, the girl stood petrified, frozen in terror. Two mummies. One life might as well lend a hand. I pulled the knife from my ankle and gave the lion man a pat. He understood, instantly charging forward with me on his back. After taking down the mummy, I glanced at her still dazed face. Shaking his head, he turned to leave. I'll save who I can within my power, but whether she makes it in the end depends entirely on herself. He'd barely taken 2 steps when the girl suddenly came running over. Sis, thank you for saving me. I'm Ari. My life is yours now. Your life means nothing to me. I knew that was just an excuse. What she really wanted was to travel with us. Sis, I may not be good at fighting, but I'm an amazing cook. It's been ages since I last heard that term. She seemed to realize something, too, awkwardly rubbing the tip of her nose. And that's not all. I can fix appliances, too. Anything electrical. As long as there's power. Cooking. Electrical. Appliances. I remembered. The generator I searched for today. And the broken fan. And fridge at home. Can you fix anything? I asked. She nodded vigorously. Yep. I can fix anything. ACs. TVs. Washing machines. Lamps. Fans. Microwaves. I gave her a once-over just so we're clear. If you're lying, I won't hesitate to kick you out. She thumped her chest confidently. Don't worry. Sis. I've got this. And just like that, I took her back with me. Got to admit, that girl's got some real skills. I handle sourcing parts while she does assembly and repairs. You could say we've started a whole new chapter later. When forming the alliance, I'd always emphasize this line. When recruiting talent, we've got central air conditioning here. But then she died 3 days before the alliance was established. There was another faction that rivaled my own in strength. Their leader went by the name Archer. I let my guard down and fell into his trap. Just as I was surrounded by ghouls with no backup, Arya arrived. Yes, a girl who'd been terrified by mummies countless times. Despite her timid nature, charged in with explosives without hesitation. The blast was devastating. It wiped out those mummies and took Arya's life with them. Perhaps this is what they call a death curse. If only she hadn't said, "Give me your life back then." That very night, I led my team to storm Archer's stronghold. I threw him into the dry well, then tossed one of Arya's identical explosives after him. Arya, you owe me nothing in this lifetime, so you better stay alive for me. Thanks to Opal. She lured all the zombies away from downstairs. But after getting out, I realized I'd overlooked something crucial. We're about 100 kilometers away from Zania 6. In my past life, a lion man carried me on his back. And he was crazy fast. We could zip between districts in no time. But now I glanced at the pale, fragile-looking boy beside me. Fine, I'll have to rely on myself. Then we'll probably be walking for 3 or 4 days. First, I'll find you some clothes, then gather more food and water. Oh, and we should stock up on weapons, too. Just grab whatever we come across. Surprisingly, Soren didn't respond immediately. I looked at him in confusion as he pressed his lips together, seeming somewhat downcast. What's wrong? I asked. He shook his head. It's nothing, Master. Just some sad thoughts. I'll work through them on my own. Why is he putting on such a pitiful act today? Go on. What's the matter this time? Soren came to a halt and spoke slowly. Master, must be so disappointed in me. If only I had the build and speed of a lion man, you wouldn't have to endure walking. You must be missing the lion man right now. Sigh. I'm really useless, aren't I? I scratched my head. Every orc has their strengths. Sure, lion men can carry people, but you're easy on the eyes. Downright gorgeous. Actually, he took a step forward and lowered his head until his face was just a fist's width from mine. Since Master likes my face so much, you're only allowed to. Look at me from now on. No more staring at other beastmen. Okay. It really hurt my feelings. When you kept looking at that lion man earlier. All right. I get it. Let's just go already. My face felt strangely warm. I casually agreed to cut the conversation short, pushed his face away, and bolted toward the mall like escaping. The mall has 4 floors in total. The basement houses a chain supermarket, while the first floor sells gold jewelry and cosmetics. The second and third floors are clothing stores with dining options on the top level compared to the upper floors. The basement level was noticeably noisier. The blood-stained clothes and gnawed mannequins made it clear a fight had broken out here recently. I found a relatively clean store and had Soren change into fresh clothes quickly, grabbed a few extra just in case. With so many people downstairs attracting zombies, should we still go? He asked. I was just thinking the same thing. But as the saying goes, in for a penny, in for a pound. Besides, we're running dangerously low on food. This essential resource will only become harder to find as time goes on. We've still got several days' journey ahead, even though going down now is risky. We have no choice. Go on. We need to move quickly. The supermarket was in even worse shape than I'd imagined. Everyone's on a crazy shopping spree. Mommy, why aren't they paying for anything? A little girl looked up and asked her mother. The woman's hands froze while tearing open the instant noodle packet. Because now there are no more rules or order left. But is this really right? The girl pressed. The mother smiled helplessly. It's wrong. But the fault isn't ours. It's this catastrophe. Those terrifying monsters. People created rules. And order. As long as we keep living, we'll surely see this world restored. She pulled out a flatbread and pressed it into the girl's hands. There you go. Sweetheart, eat up. We don't have orcs to carry things for us, so we can't take much eager fill. And grow up strong. It wasn't until the mother and daughter disappeared around the grocery aisle that I snapped out of my daze. Though I only survived 2 years in the apocalypse during my past life. But I believed her words. This world will surely return to how it once was, just as I tossed the last few packs of instant noodles into Soren space. A commotion suddenly erupted at the doorway. In no way. Zombies already. I looked up and realized they weren't zombies, but a group of black-clad men swaggering in with machetes. This store belongs to us now. Smart people will drop their stuff and get out unless you want trouble. One of the black-clad men raised his blade and swung at the nearest woman who was searching through belongings. The woman collapsed to the ground, coughing up blood before falling silent. Mommy! Mommy! The girl threw herself onto the woman's corpse, weeping until she nearly fainted just moments ago. They were full of life right before my eyes now. They're worlds apart. That's right. The woman casually cut down by the black-clad figure was that very mother from earlier. Shut the hell up. If you miss her that much, I'll send you to meet your damn mother. The man raised his cleaver again, swinging it toward the girl. I quickly drew my knife and charged at him. The black-clad figure halted mid-motion and turned to face me. Ha! Another fool rushing to die. Guess I'll oblige you first. 7. He spat and charged at me. There's a clear disparity in strength between men and women, but fighting isn't just about brute strength. Without exaggeration, I've slain thousands of zombies in my past life. Just some blustering fool. Hardly worth my time. True enough, within 5 seconds, I had him pinned beneath my boot. Smiling, I raised the machete I'd wrested from his grasp. You seem to enjoy cutting people down. Let me give it a try today. No sooner had he spoken than I LPP'd off one of his arms. I nodded. Not bad at all. Let me try again. Then came the other one. The man had already wet himself. Sis. Big sis. I was wrong. Spare my life. I swear I'll I pressed my index finger to my lips. I was going to spare you. But you're just too loud. So go to hell. The blade fell in one swift motion. His lips were sealed forever. The girl stared at me blankly. Ich knelt before her, and gently closed her mother's eyes. Sweetheart, your mother left something unsaid. The reason this world's rules and order are in chaos isn't just disasters and monsters. It's scum like them. Scum. A familiar voice cut through the air. A man stepped forward from the back of the crowd with exaggerated elegance. He gave me a theatrical bow. His back remained bent, Yet he lifted his head. The corner of his lips curled. You call us scum. But what makes you any better? My heart pounded violently at this moment, as if trying to leap out of my chest. I knew it was trembling with excitement, with joy. The bastard came knocking on death's door himself. And that man was Archer. Archer. Scared. Slowly straightening his posture. Where are your manners? How rude not to return the greeting. I stood up just as I was about to speak. Soren suddenly stepped in front of me. Returning the bow. Absolutely not. My master only bows face to face with me. Who do you think you are? And why are you smiling at my master? I might just have to gouge your eyes out. Master. Archer turned with amusement to face the group of black-clad men. Did you all hear that? He actually called this woman. Master gouge at my eyes. Hilarious. I'll stare all I want. Come try it. In the blink of an eye, Soren materialized before him. Yeah, I'm here. The next instant, Archer let out a blood-curdling scream and dropped to his knees, clutching his eyes. Blood gushed relentlessly between his fingers. I stared at Soren in shock. Not just because of his incredible speed, but because he's an orc who dares raise a hand against humans. I had my suspicions during the skinning, but figured the system didn't punish him, because it was just a corpse. But Archer is a living, breathing person. Not only does it have a dedicated interface, but it can also bypass system restrictions. He's far more complex than he appears. Kill them. Slaughter them all. Archer roared, yet not a single soul dared to step forward. In his past life, he'd been just as fond of barking orders. His true motive for building this faction was never about providing shelter for others. It was merely to feed his own delusions of superiority. In that case, I'll let them personally send you to your grave. I jerked my chin toward the door. Soren got the hint and blocked the doorway. I grabbed a fruit knife from the shelf and tossed it at the black-clad men's feet. Now the tables have turned. I pointed at Archer. Stab him once if you value your life. Anywhere will do. Then you're free to go. The group exchanged uneasy glances. Then one man raised his hand. Me, let me do it. This bastard tricked me into joining his crew. The atrocities he's committed deserve death. I don't want to die. I'll stab him first. Once someone takes the first step in matters like this, others will inevitably follow suit. Archer tried to dodge, but without his eyes, he stood no chance of avoiding it. His continuous screams filled me with immense satisfaction. As time passed, his voice grew fainter and fainter. We've never had any grievances. Why would you do this to me? In my past life, I'd asked those very words. When he framed me, what did he say back then? Right. He said, because I damn well please. Because I damn well please. I threw his exact words right back at him. Master, stop chatting with him. It's time we left. Soren approached. Time to go. The stench of blood is so strong here. The ghouls will be upon us any moment. As for Archer, who's barely hanging on, he'll soon become ghoul chow. Everyone, ghouls are coming. We need to leave now. I've said my piece. Whether they listen is up to them. Before leaving, I glanced at the little girl. I wasn't in any position to care for her, as the road ahead wasn't going to be smooth for me, though I noticed a middle-aged woman with salt and pepper hair had joined her side. Little one, I've lost my daughter. 2. If you'd like, come home with me. Calamity magnifies malice, but kindness is the light that illuminates the human heart. Soren. And I traveled onward with many stops along the way, raiding supermarkets for food, scavenging hardware stores for tools. Of course, I didn't hesitate to stockpile other miscellaneous supplies, either bait. By the time we reached Sony, nearly a week had passed. During that time, I completed several more missions and earned 120 skill points. Master, I think my inventory only has a few hundred slots left before it's full. He said, almost full. Guess it's time for an upgrade. Then I pulled out 30 points and invested them in the storage attribute bar. The capacity just increased 30-fold. You're amazing, Master. He praised with a smile. But after these days together, I'd realized a smile never reached his eyes. It was only skin deep, so he wasn't surprised by this change. Last time, when his tail transformed into legs, he simply asked me to fetch pants. Not a trace of surprise on his face. which means everything was unfolding exactly as he'd anticipated. Come to think of it, the completion of previous missions and point allocations, mostly tied to his overt and covert guidance. What other secrets is he still hiding from me? Just then, a scream pierced through the air nearby. I scanned the surrounding buildings. It suddenly hit me. We were standing near the very spot where I first met Arya. With the Lion Man's help in my past life, I reached the resource-rich zone, and by the 5th day of the apocalypse, this lifetime has been nothing but constant travel, making me gradually lose track of time. My gaze at the sky, a cloudless expanse of azure sis, when you charged in on that lion and took down the mummy with a single strike. You looked like a total warrior goddess. I loved the weather that day. Crystal clear skies without a single cloud. But I loved even more how you glowed in the sunlight areas. Words echoed clearly in my mind. Wait, the mummy ambush is happening today. Soren, get out of here. The situation looked peculiar. When we arrived, the expected battle scene never materialized. Though numerous, the mummies merely formed a tightening circle without attacking. Inside the circle, men stood with axes raised, shielding the elderly, women, and children behind them. I quickly scanned the area, but couldn't spot Arya anywhere. You promised we'd be spared if we handed over the water. 118 bot circled greater than antipiracy, stamp circled greater than bookfinder. Bot heavy check mark. The reliable choice guaranteed satisfaction. You heartless bastard. Taking the goods, but leaving me to die. You thieving scum. I'll haunt you from my grave. They glared resentfully toward the upper left. Water crossing. Protection needed. I followed the crowd's gaze. There stood a small art gallery. About a dozen people stood on the art museum's rooftop terrace. At the center stood familiar faces. Opal and the Lion Men. Opal let out 2 mocking laughs. You fools actually thought I'd save you. With all those mummies around, if my precious Lion Man gets hurt, could you even take responsibility? Well, we've got the water now. We can live comfortably for a few more days. I'd say your deaths were worth it. Opal, you're becoming utterly shameless. I spoke up. Sage, how did you wait? Who's that? She pointed in shock at Soren standing beside me. You've got a selective memory, haven't you? He's my merman. Don't you remember a merman? Impossible. How can he follow you out here? And what's with his legs? She leapt down from the Lion Man's back, landing right in front of me. The others came running over. 2. What's it to you? I shot her a cold glare. The gathering crowd made the mummies split into 2 groups, closing in on our position. Give them back their water. I said, give back. Since when did you become such a busybody? Sage. Besides, do you still think I'm the same Opal who cowered under your threats? Never mind about the leg. It doesn't matter now. You won't live to see tomorrow anyway. With that, she threw a meaningful glance over her shoulder as several figures stepped forward. Opal leaned lazily against the Lion Man. Kill her. Let's give the mummy some appetizers. Yes, you're dead. I cracked my knuckles and lunged forward, slitting one attacker's throat before they could react. The battle erupted in an instant. The scent of blood drew more walking corpses toward them. 9. Especially those surrounding the group nearby. Kill those bandits. Take back our water. A girl shouted. My body froze. That voice. It's Arya. No wonder I didn't spot her earlier. She was crouching in the very back of the crowd. What a clever little rascal. A momentary hesitation left my arm slashed open. The sting of pain felt strangely nostalgic. I swiftly zeroed in on my target, driving the blade straight through the bastard's heart. Got it. Stabbing here works much better than the arm. Her eyes widened as she collapsed to the ground. Arya's words had just given everyone a major morale boost. They broke through the encirclement and charged toward Opal. Though the Lion Man possesses formidable combat skills, beast folk are incapable of initiating attacks against humans, Soren being the obvious exception. Knowing she couldn't fight them all alone, she gave the Lion Man a pat and bolted. Soren, I shouted at the top of my lungs. The next second, he stepped in front of Opal. Within moments, I'd taken care of those guys. Opal's last remaining teammate tried to run, but hordes of withered corpses blocked their path. I ombled over slowly. Truth be told, I could end Opal right now, but I won't. She hasn't experienced the horror of the lion man yet. Dying like this would be letting her off too easy. In my past life, the lion man's combat prowess truly brought me many advantages. But then it changed. It shifted from eating normal food to consuming mummified corpses. Then came human remains. Then it was my turn. I realized this because it kept licking my wrists and neck while I slept during that period. I woke with a start to see it baring its fangs, lunging for my throat, but the moment its teeth grazed my skin, the system punished it, leaving the creature writhing in agony on the floor. I brushed with death countless times. I locked it away. Then it began starving itself. Its weakness started draining my life force. But that was right at the dawn of the Alliance's formation. To present a more appealing front for recruiting talent, I had to slip my wrist and offer him the first bowl of blood. Give them an inch. They'll take a mile. The torment drove me to the brink of madness. Tried every possible solution, but nothing worked. Then I ended up getting poisoned. My thoughts snapped back to the present just 2 weeks into the apocalypse. Opal was already using her lion man's strength to seize water resources. The methods were utterly disgraceful. She doesn't have to die, but I won't let her live comfortably either. I'll deal with her. As for the lion man, I opened the attributes panel, allocated 60 skill points to Soren's combat stats. The next instant, a set of black armor materialized on Soren's body. What the how is this possible? Where did that armor come from? Opal was stunned once more. He's nothing but a useless dead weight in the second life. I chose the lion heart. I should be the rightful champion. How did he become so powerful after following you? Why does everything always go your way? This isn't fair. It just isn't. Today, I'll make sure you die. Lion man, kill that merman for me. Slay him. The lion man shook his mane and launched his attack upon hearing the command. Opal drew a dagger from her left sleeve and lunged at me. How naive she is. Those supposedly skilled fighters couldn't even take me down. What makes her think she stands a chance? I chopped her forearm with my palm, knocking the blade from her grip. My hand slid up her arm, seized her shoulder, and wrenched it hard. She screamed as her arm went limp and dropped uselessly. Hand over their water. Opal sneered. Sage, do you really think you're some savior? You can protect one, but can you protect thousands? This is the apocalypse. The weak only waste resources by staying alive. Don't they owe me their water? The sooner they die, the more supplies the strong will have, becoming stepping stones. That's the best fate they could hope for. I never considered myself a savior, nor did I intend to save everyone. But you. You're the last person qualified to dictate others' lives. With those words, I snapped her neck. I take back what I just said. Someone like Opal can't be allowed to stay. After all, Leo's transformation is still nearly 2 years away. 2 years is enough time for anything to happen. Keeping her around just to satisfy my petty revenge would only let her harm others. I don't think this is right. Orcs and humans share the same fate. After Opal died, I turned to look at the lion man. It lay bloodied on the ground. Breathless, Soren emerged completely unscathed. Come on, let's go help. I waved to Soren. Meanwhile, the others were still locked in combat with the mummified corpses. But before joining the fight, I dashed over to Arya first. I noticed earlier that she kept stealing glances at me. Cease. You took down that bandit. You're amazing, she exclaimed excitedly. Cease. I finally heard her call me that again. How nice, I said. Big sis needs to ask you a favor. A favor me. I nodded and placed the intentionally broken chainsaw in front of her. I think my sister's chainsaw is broken. I'm new here and don't know my way around. Could you help me find someone to fix it? Her face lit up instantly. I can fix that. It's easy. I'll have it working in no time. Watching her focus so intently, I fought back tears. There she handed me the chainsaw. I patted her head. You're amazing. This helps me so much. I stood up. Stay hidden. Sweetheart, Big Sis is going to wipe out these disgusting things with this chainsaw. I own the world, even while sawing through the mummy. I stole a glance at Soren. He's ferocious and lightning fast. He can take down a whole crowd in mere seconds. He's become incredibly powerful now with the lion man as precedent. If Soren maxes out all 3 attributes, would he still obediently remain my orc? Or more importantly, Would I even survive to see that day? Within minutes, all the desiccated corpses had been eliminated, though casualties were heavy. It was still far better than my previous life. Arya trotted over. Cease. You're so cool. Could I? Maybe. You're really good at fixing things. 2. I cut her off before she could finish. I'm forming an alliance. Will you be my first teammate? Really? Can I? She exclaimed with joy. I nodded. Absolutely. If you're willing. Yes. I'd love to. Formino alios. Can I join? A guy nearby spoke up. Count me in. Girl. You were badass back there. And this handsome dude. Damn. I was blown away. Sign me up. You got our water back. You're good people. Me too. Me too. Everyone started chattering and crowding around. I really didn't see this coming. Anyone who's willing can join us. But this is just a rough idea for now. Base locations. Resource allocation. None of that's been figured out yet. The early days might be tough. It's the apocalypse. Who's afraid of hardship now? Exactly. Everything starts from scratch. Just imagine how amazing it'll be, building this alliance together. Looking at these faces brimming with passion and fighting spirit, an inexplicable surge of emotion welled up in my heart. I sniffled. What are we waiting for? Let's go scout for a base first. My old hideout location wasn't bad either. But that was 2 years later. Both the architecture and the ghouls' behavior patterns were different back then. So I still think it depends on the situation. Got it. The group responded enthusiastically. Marched toward the sunlight. I was walking at the very back with Soren right beside me. After much contemplation, I finally voiced the question weighing on my mind. Soren, would you ever betray me? He paused mid-step and placed his hand over mine. As long as my master doesn't abandon me, Soren shall remain the finest blade in your service. I looked him straight in the eye. 11, what if I walk away? Would you kill me? He shook his head. You wouldn't. I probed cautiously. What I mean is, there are no ifs. The Auric system is eternal. Once bonded, not even death can sever the tie. Soren stepped closer, resting his forehead against mine with tender devotion. So, Master, you can never abandon me. We're bound to be entwined through endless lifetimes without death or cessation. His words left me utterly stunned, unable to recover. For the longest time, I merely voiced the question lingering in my heart. Yet he laid bare everything without reservation for all eternity. But last time that was an accident. His expression turned cold. The system malfunctioned, dragging us into the scorching apocalypse. But it doesn't matter now, because the correction's been made. Consider this lifetime as his compensation to us. What's more, this place showed me a side of you I'd never seen before. Decisive, brave, kind. So I don't blame fate for this twist. Everything happens for a reason. My mind is a mess. Why are you telling me this all of a sudden? He hugged me with a smile, resting his head on my shoulder. Because I have a mouth. I don't want you to misunderstand me, nor do I want any distance between us. His words burned so intensely they left me parched. Got it? Well, then give it your best shot. Go get him. Hey, Arya, there's something I need to tell you. It's about I broke free from his embrace and stumbled forward in panic. 1 year later, the alliance was officially established. The progress is twice as fast as my previous life. My relationship with Soren grew increasingly intimate through our time together. But his exclusive mission always remained one step from completion. What could it possibly be? I glanced at him lounging leisurely beside me. You really don't know. You're not lying to me. Soren's gaze was utterly sincere. Master, you've asked me 100 times already. I truly don't know. I don't believe you. He sighed and walked over helplessly. Opal spread her arms, her eyes gleaming with a touch of madness. Go you. Because I like maxing out my scale bars. Seeing each one just 2 or 3 points short is driving me crazy. Are you really that desperate for these 10 points? So, you do know. Spit it out. What is it? I demanded, hands on my hips. He suddenly stepped closer, his gaze unreadable. My mission concerns me. Obviously. Think hard. What's left? Unfinished. Unfinished. We've been inseparable this whole year. Done everything together. Is there really anything left we haven't tried? Haven't done my face instantly. Flesh crimson. Soren leaned in closer. So, Master ready to unlock that final quest. I swallowed hard. My first instinct was to run. But then I saw the hope in his eyes. It suddenly hit me. Every time he'd expressed his love this past year, I'd been running away. Desertion is never honorable. Speak your mind before it's too late. Love demands courage and expression. With that, I smiled quietly to myself. She wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him,